Hello everyone, welcome to my channel, and today will be a different kind of vlog. I thought that we could just sit down and chat about something that's very important to me. Lately, a lot of people, friends, relatives have been asking me about how I deal with anxiety. And thankfully, these talks with them have helped them in a way. No matter how big or how small, I'm grateful that my experiences have contributed to their well-being. So before we begin, I'd like to lay out some disclaimers out there. Number one, I am no expert whatsoever. If I am an expert, it's purely because of experience. Second, I do recognize that medication, if needed, is very important in the process of getting better. And third, people experience anxiety in different ways. So with those three things in mind, I'd like to share with you guys my experience with anxiety and the 5 major ways that I deal with it. I think that I've had anxiety ever since I was a child. Though during the time, we didn't really label it as such. It was just me being a nervous child. And a major example would be how all throughout school, I mean preschool all the way till my senior year high school, I was always so nervous about coming out my class and not seeing my fetcher there. If I did not see my fetcher, the person picking me up, I would start like feeling so anxious, and my head would start going places like, what if I was forgotten by my fetcher? Or worse, what if my family didn't even want to pick me up because they don't want me anymore? And that's how my mind worked. And it only got better towards the latter years because I was allowed to have a cell phone with me, and that made me a lot more comfortable knowing that I could contact people and that I didn't have to resort to my mind making up scenarios and situations about why I was left behind. So the first time that my mom ever labeled something that I experienced as anxiety was when we were shopping in this huge bazaar. So it happens yearly here in the Philippines, called World Trade Bazaar. And we were there, we like shopping, and then suddenly, out of nowhere, I couldn't breathe. And mind you, this was a huge deal. Like, there were a lot of people, a huge crowd, like there was barely any space to move around, and suddenly that just got to me and I couldn't breathe, and my mom had to drag me out of there to breathe fresh air. And ever since then, crowds have always made me so nervous. And then came the day of my very first panic attack, and that day I had hyperacidity. So ever since I was a kid, I also had hyperacidity, and when it does get bad, it makes it more difficult to breathe. And I'm not sure what exactly the biology of that is, but my doctor for the stomach, who I went to, said that it was because of that. So one night I was trying to sleep, I was having a hard time breathing, I had hyperacidity, and then the idea that I couldn't breathe just got to me. I started feeling like, I don't know, that if I slept while feeling like I couldn't breathe, that I would die. I felt like I was dying. That's what I felt like. And then I started shaking. And not like shaking, you know, it was like shaking inside. It was like an internal shiver. And you could see it from the outside, but it's not like feeling cold. It's inside you. Like, the shaking is in your nerves. I don't know how to explain it, but that's what it felt like. And my mom had to hug me to make me feel safe. She knew that I was going through a panic attack because she has experienced that herself. And she said that all I needed to do was to feel safe. So she hugged me, and it slowly, very slowly, went away. And ever since then, I've been having panic attacks, and in different forms, not just the shaking kind. So that panic attack experience started in high school. But my worst experience with anxiety happened in college. It happened during my junior year, if I'm correct. February of 2016, for sure. I had an event that day. I dressed up as Cinderella for kids. There was like a charity event thing going on in school, and I dressed up as Cinderella for that. I got home, I was tired, I fell asleep, and in the middle of the night, out of nowhere, I woke up to an expanding feeling in my head. Like, it felt like there was pressure. It wasn't painful. My head was just expanding. Like, I watched enough medical dramas, hospital dramas, and I started freaking out. Like, when your head starts to feel like it's expanding, and it's not a headache, it's like your head's gonna blow, you will panic. And I panicked. And then I told myself, stop panicking, you're not gonna die, because I've already started to get used to the routine of calming myself down and recognizing when I have a panic attack. So I told myself, you know, maybe it's just something. My mom told me that it'll go away in the morning. Maybe I was just tired. It did not go away in the morning. I slept the entire day the next day to make it go away. It did not go away, so it definitely was not a tired thing. I went to the doctor in school, and they said that it might be, I don't know what you call it, the thing where you're always dizzy. I forget the term. I'm gonna put it here. They said it might be this, but it wasn't, because their medication was not helping at all. And then we went to a neurologist, because, you know, if there's something wrong with your head, you go to a neurologist. The neurologist had no idea what was wrong and ordered a CT scan and an MRI. I did not want to do those. I did not do those. I'm scared of hospitals. Then my mom was talking to my aunt, who is a psychiatrist, over the phone, because she lives in America. And my aunt said that, you know, it could possibly be anxiety related. Anxiety related. And the only way to figure that out is if I had an X-ray. And true enough, when I got my X-ray with my uncle, who was a orthopedic, I'm losing my words trying to narrate this, the results came and said that because I was so anxious and because I was so tense, my skull, what am I doing? My spine was pushing up against my skull like that. So your spine is supposed to be slightly curved. Like, you know, in pillow commercials where the pillow is curved and then they show you an outline of your skeletal system, your spine. It's supposed to be slightly curved, right? Now mine was straight. Mine was straight and pushing up at my skull, and that's why there was pressure there and I could feel it here. And the only way to get rid of such a thing is through physical therapy and anxiety medication. So that was when I started getting on pills to control my anxiety levels. The process of getting better was very, very long. Well, I mean, from that specific instance of my head expanding and my spine pushing against my skull, that thing took a long while to get over, took a long time to get better from that. And during the process of getting better, I was actually in the middle of doing something that I really loved, and that was choreographing for Stages of Love, which was a production by Ateneo Blue Repertory, of which I was part of during university. And I couldn't make rehearsals, which were especially for choreography, because I had anxiety and I had to stay home and I had to get better, and they told me not to worry about anything, but I was worrying about that while trying not to worry about anything, and I was worrying about trying not to worry about things, and it was a mess. And during that time of focusing on getting better, I acknowledged the fact that anxiety was a real thing that I had to live with and deal with for my entire life. And acknowledging that meant acknowledging my limitations. And I had a couple breakdowns during that time. I felt hopeless during that time, and it was terrible. It still is pretty terrible. Like, my mind is on two opposite spectrums. Sometimes my mind goes crazy. Airplane. As I was saying, sometimes my mind goes crazy over the smallest things. Like, it goes everywhere and starts thinking all the negative things and just worst case scenario all the time. And on the other end, sometimes I'm just so uninterested in the things that I know I love. So sometimes I feel like my life isn't really going anywhere, and I don't really feel like doing anything about it. And sometimes I have a panic attack over a bug bite. Now, the good thing about all my experiences with anxiety is that I'm much more knowledgeable now. I panic, I withdraw myself, and all the other things that I do when I'm having an episode. And then I step back and I take measures myself to overcome the present problem, or at least make it a little bit better. Now, I'm not saying that my 5 ways of dealing with anxiety is 100% guaranteed to help you out, but they definitely help me feel like I'm more in control, and that makes me feel a lot better. And if this video can help at least one person out there, then it was worth it. So without any further ado, let's get into the 5 ways that I deal with anxiety. The first thing that I do to overcome a panic attack or an anxiety attack is that I lie down, I close my eyes, I breathe, and I tell myself that it's just all in my head. So the moment that I feel a panic attack coming on, I run to my bed, get into fetal position, close my eyes so that I can start focusing on breathing. And I do this in anticipation of the internal shivers or not being able to breathe, because at that moment I have no idea how my anxiety attack is going to manifest itself. So it's always better to be safely lying down on my bed. And I tell myself that it's just in my head, because that reminds me that I have control, and it makes it easier for me to convince myself to calm down. Another way that I deal with anxiety is immediately after an attack, I write or do any form of self-expression, which normally for me is writing in my journal, writing songs. I find that if I can identify what the root cause, or not root cause, the immediate cause of my anxiety attack is, then, and if I can, how do I say this? If I know what it is and I can write about it to somehow dig through my thoughts and see what I feel about it, what I felt before that happening, if I can like pinpoint what it was like, express it, see it in writing, then it makes me feel like I understand myself more, and again, that makes me feel like I am more in control. And also, maybe, I'm not sure about this, but anxiety could be like venting up of emotions. Sometimes for me it just comes out of nowhere. So writing it down, letting those emotions flow, sometimes does really help me as well. The third and my favorite thing to do to overcome an anxiety attack or anxiety in general is to distract myself. And all my friends who have talked to me about anxiety know this very well. If they ask me, what do I do if I'm having an what do I do if I'm having an anxiety attack? And I'm like, go watch SpongeBob. So when I have an anxiety attack and I feel like just lying down is not helping, it's not passing, I'm still nervous, I'm still jittery, what I do is I watch funny YouTube videos. I go on the writing prompt subreddit. I do a Slayer task on RuneScape. I organize my makeup bag. My logic here is that since the anxiety is all just in my head, then I have to get it out of my head. And the best way to get something out of your head is to put something else much more interesting in my head. So distraction has been my best friend. I'm not sure if that's great advice, but it probably isn't a long-term cure. Definitely not a long-term cure to anxiety. But if you want anxiety to go away just like this, watch SpongeBob. The first thing that I do to help me overcome anxiety is that I focus on what I know versus what I don't know. So I find that when I'm having anxiety, it's really because my mind is going places it shouldn't. My mind is always assuming the worst. And it's important to remind myself that all those negative things that I'm planting in my mind, I don't really know that. And focusing on those negative things will just cause unnecessary stress on myself. So my advice is not to focus on what you don't know, and if what you don't know is really bothering you, then ask. Go to the doctor, go check the document that you need to check, figure it out. Just ask before you go crazy. But don't ask Google. One time I had skin asthma in a place where I don't usually get skin asthma, and Google told me that it was skin cancer. The last thing, and probably the most important thing that I would advise you to do, and I do think that this will definitely help you if you're having anxiety, take a break. Just as your physical state needs a break when it is sick, so does your mental state. Don't go to work. Don't worry about your tests. Just take a break. And this isn't like a I'm lazy break, you know? It's not like I'm taking a break because I don't want to do this and that. It's taking a break because you know that your body needs it. And I've done that a couple of times. I have taken breaks. I've cut a few classes because of headaches back in university. A few weeks ago, I did not go to work for an entire week because I was having terrible headaches. If you go to work, if you go to school, you're not going to be productive in work. You're gonna make it difficult for your group mates in school. And even if you're not terrible during those times, you're not exerting the best effort that you could because you are hindered by anxiety. So yeah, I don't really know what else to say. I hope that these 5 tips will help you. And if you're going through things that are beyond that, I'm sure a professional can help. Taking some time in prayer as well can help if you are religious. I personally pray novena to Saint Therese. If you found this video helpful, I was gonna say if you enjoyed this video. I'm not sure this video was very enjoyable, but if you found it helpful, then please give me a huge thumbs up. If you want me to talk about anything else more in the serious zone, please comment it down below and subscribe for more videos. I also do fun videos on makeup and Disney and other random adventure vlogs. So yeah, thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you guys next week.